Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making some Alfredo pasta with some butter shrimp, jumbo shrimp, and some steak tri-tip with a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to mix it all together with some basil pesto, some garlic, a little bit frozen right now, but some grass-fed butter, Rawls, Alfredo sauce, and I'm going to try with some Himalayan salt. So let's go ahead and start putting all this together. Okay, so the first process that I'm going to go do is add some all-purpose flour. So I'm going to add 2 cups of all-purpose flour. All right, so next thing I do is I'm going to add about 4 eggs. And I always like to add some olive oil. It actually helps with the flour and the eggs. But I don't want to add too much of it. So next thing I'm going to do is put it in this KitchenAid machine. It takes too long for me to actually knead it myself, so sometimes a little helper helps out quite a bit. Bad boy on here. All right, so set this thing up, and I will knead it for about 5-10 minutes, and I'll get back to you guys. All right, so the kneading process is complete, so I am going to work on the steak. So next one is the tri-tip. You don't need large slices, just thin slices. Salt, pepper, that's all you need really. Sometimes you want to go for it, add some butter, but I'll go ahead and start cutting it. Okay, so this process is really simple. Salt, pepper, all you need really when you want a good steak. And depends on how you cook the steak. You can also use smoke. Some people do that. I love smoke, but I'm not trying to smoke any meat right now. I'm just trying to add it to the pasta. So don't start with salt. Usually you want to add pepper first because pepper will stick on. Oftentimes I use olive oil to coat the meat, but in this case I don't want to use olive oil because I'm already cooking olive oil with the pasta. So simple, just do a just enough. So let me add that on a little bit. Nice chunks of pepper will help out. So just make sure you get both sides. Dab it a little bit, and then flip them over. Let's get both sides. And same thing for this, just dab it, make sure that the pepper stays on the meat, because once I toss it onto the skillet, it's hopefully it cooks and it stays on the meat. So now we switch over to the salt side and just put a small amount of salt on it because you're adding this to pasta, which generally has a little bit of salt in it. Uh-oh, battery died. All right, I'll go the other manual route. I will use the pink Himalayan salt that I mentioned earlier, so let's go ahead and use this instead. Just a little bit, you don't want to overwhelm it too much. So dab it, flip it over, just a little bit more. Real quick, there, that's all you need. Okay, so it's been about, I would say 15-20 minutes. Let's go ahead and take this and start flattening it out. Take a handful, and sometimes it might be a little wet, so all you gotta do is just add a little bit of powder, or not powder, add some flour on it, just to make sure that it doesn't stick to the actual machine itself. So once that's done, let's run it through, and hopefully we get a nice good flat pasta. You know, it's a pretty decent size pasta. So turn it off and let's switch it over to this piece right here. Toss on a little bit more flour. It feels like it's getting stuck. Alright, other side. Okay, let's run it through. That there is how pasta is made. Alright, so I just got done with the whole pasta making process. The last thing I gotta do is the last set of pasta. I need to add flour so that way these little fellers don't get connected or stuck to each other, and it doesn't look good when I cook it because it gets all clumped up. So I think that'll be it for now, and the next process will be making, well, let's see, I should probably cook the jumbo shrimp first because I want to use the butter from the jumbo shrimp for the pasta itself. So we'll go ahead and do that right after. Alright, so the next process of evolution is to cook the jumbo shrimp right here. And voila. Cook this with a little bit of butter. So let's go ahead and start that. Alright. While I'm doing that, I have the pot of hot water going, so kill two birds with one stone. Once that's heated up enough, I'll toss the pasta into that hot pot and I'll be cooking the jumbo shrimp. Just remember that a jumbo shrimp, shrimps cook fairly quickly, so you don't want to just leave them on a pot or a skillet for too long because they shrink in size. So no one likes shrinkage, right? So let's go ahead and cook this jumbo shrimp. I'm gonna add like a stick of butter, whatever that size is right there. Toss it in and wiggle it off and let it go, let it do its thing. Next thing I'm gonna do is toss these guys in here. Let them cook real quick. Let it get all that butter. Keep the head on so that way it can absorb the juice. Make sure it's cooked properly. I would say probably about 3 minutes, 3-4 minutes or so on each side, or probably less than that. But once it turns out to be like a golden orange, you're good. So the jumbo shrimp is done. I'm just going to take it out, separate it. Look at those bad boys right there. Can't wait for them to go in my belly. Take this all out. And like I mentioned before, the oil, or not the oil, the butter, I am going to leave the butter in this pan. I'm going to mix it in with the Alfredo sauce that I showed you guys earlier. Beautiful, smells delicious too. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is make the sauce. I will add some garlic right here. I always love a good amount of garlic in both my spaghetti and my pasta. So let's get that started. And like I mentioned before, I did say that I'm going to use that butter that I got earlier from when I use it to cook the jumbo shrimp. So I'll go ahead and toss this in right there. Let that cook. Add a little bit of olive oil, or you know, I actually don't need to add it, but I usually like to put a little sprig of olive oil into the cooking. Mix it up a little bit with the butter. So let's put this little thing away. And then I will add the Raul's homemade sauce, the Alfredo sauce. Shake it up a little bit. Make sure these guys are cooked properly as well. So we'll let that sit for a little bit. So it looks like the garlic should be pretty decent now. Let me see, flip it over. Just want to make sure they are evenly cooked. So that's pretty cooked. I'm going to add my Alfredo sauce in here. Hopefully it doesn't pop. There we go. Lower the temperature. Get every little bit of it out. And let's stir it so that way it doesn't burn. The temperature down. There we go. That's going to go great with the pasta in a little bit. I think for the most part I can transfer it over to low heat and just kind of let it simmer, and then I will start boiling the pasta and toss the pasta from the pot into this bigger pot. One thing that I forgot during the cooking process was to add a little bit of white wine. I bought this one about a month ago. It was actually pretty delicious, so I'm going to do a little spritz of white wine in here and stir it up a little bit. Maybe a little more. There we go. Alright, so let's mix that up. And the next thing will be to work on the pasta. Okay, the second to last thing that I got to do is toss the pasta inside the hot pot. These are some of you newcomers. Make sure to cook the pasta right away. I think I let it sit way too long. Alright, so let's go ahead and give it a good stir. Hopefully it's separated on its own. I hope so, please. Hopefully it looks decent for the final presentation, but I won't hold my breath on it. Alright, it's been a few minutes since I tossed the pasta into the boiling pot, so it's time to remove it out of there. So definitely no chef quality work going on here. So that's how the end product looks like right now. Hopefully I can still separate this, but once I'm done with this, I am going to toss this into this deliciousness over here. So let me go ahead and let this thing cool down, and I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so the next step for my recipe is to mix the pasta with the Alfredo sauce. Hopefully it doesn't splash. There we go. Okay. Give it a good mix. There's some clumps from earlier, so let's mix it up. You see some chunks of garlic in there. So let the pasta absorb the wine, garlicness, if that's even a word. Let it absorb the Alfredo pasta sauce. While it sits, what I'm going to do is add the basil pesto, and that'll be it for this particular portion of the dish. So I'll take a little dab of basil pesto. Remember, I don't know how this thing's gonna taste, so it might be good, it might be horrendous. So I don't know. Alright, the final step to this Alfredo Alfredo pasta dish, will be the steak. So I just glaze it with a little bit of olive oil. Normally in my steaks I would always add rosemary. I'll cook it with butter, I'll cook it with some garlic, salt, pepper. Sear it, it comes out amazing. But in this situation, or for this dish, because it is a Alfredo pasta dish, I'm just going to cook it salt, pepper with some olive oil. Just make sure it's evenly cooked. You don't have to cook it too thorough. Some people like it medium rare, some people like it well done. I like it medium rare, where when I cut the meat, it's still, you see a little bit of redness in it. Alright, so it looks like it's ready. We'll take this piece out. Alright, we'll go ahead and start cutting these right here. That's what you want right there. A little bit of red. Alright, we've come to the conclusion of this recipe. So what I'm going to do is add the pasta, a little bit of the steak, and to garnish this thing, so that is the presentation right there. I am not a chef. It's not 5-star quality, but I think it's enough. So now it's time to test it. Taste test. It's either a dud or my best culinary cuisine I've made for a pasta. Let's give it a shot. I am satisfied with this. This is actually a pretty good dish that I made. I think that wine helped out a little bit. So please, if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll make more videos like this. If you want me to make something, a specific recipe, shoot it down in the comment section and I'll try to make it. Thanks.